One of the biggest terms going around the Destiny 2 community is the word meta guns. There are so many different guns in the game, but only a certain few are the actual meta, and these guns are basically the guns that players think you should be using, otherwise you're pretty much bad at the game. The reason these are the meta guns is yes, usually because they do the most damage, or they have the best perk set. However, there are plenty of alternate guns that can pretty much do the exact same thing, minus a few percent in damage, or minus a couple perks here and there. However, these alternate guns can still be used in your loadouts to perform just as well as some of the other guns. And just because you have this perfect god roll, you still have to be a half decent player and actually know how to use it properly to take full advantage of the gun. You could be a semi-decent player with an off-meta gun, but you could still be doing more damage than the average player with the god roll. So in today's video, I want to go over the best alternate weapons to use if you don't have some of the meta guns in the game. Now, just a quick disclaimer, these alternate weapons aren't the best weapons in the game, but they're a decent alternative to use until you get that god roll meta gun. In certain ways, these alternate weapons won't be as good as the god roll meta version, but they are usually very easy to obtain and great for your average solo player to use until they get the weapon that they want. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into the first gun. One of the best and most solid hand cannons in the entire game that pretty much every second player seems to be using is the Owcle Bane. Now this is a solar crafted hand cannon from the King's Fall raid, and if you either haven't done the Master raid and got the Adept version, or you haven't got it crafted yet, you're probably sitting there suffering and not being able to use a decent solar hand cannon. Now the overall consensus of the god roll version of this is explosive payload and incandescent, making it one of the best hand cannons in the entire game for massive ad clear. Now obviously one of the best alternatives to use in this case would be the Sunshot. However, with the Owcle Bane being legendary, there's a good chance you want to keep that slot in legendary and save your exotic for another section. Obviously the Sunshot is very good, but it's not my recommendation. One of the best and easiest hand cannons to obtain that is very similar to the Owcle Bane is the Ocle Integration. Now this isn't a new weapon, this has been in the game for quite a while now. This one actually came out with Lightfall. So in order to get this gun, you will need the Lightfall DLC, but I'm pretty sure most players would actually have this. To obtain this gun, there is just a short and quick quest from Nimbus on Neptune. Just like the Owcle Bane, this weapon will roll with incandescent, and it is a fixed roll, so you don't have to worry about any RNG luck. Just finish the quest and you get the gun. The second perk on this gun is Keep Away, which is pretty decent in PvE. It's going to give you a bonus to reload speed. Overall, this is definitely a solid gun, and it's great to use until you can actually get that Owcle Bane crafted, or you get the God Roll Adept version. One of the staple weapons in Destiny 2 is their SMGs. Things like the Callus Mini Tool, the Icolos SMG, or the Recluse. All of these great 900 round per minute SMGs have been reigning supreme in Destiny 2 for quite a long time. Unfortunately, most of these guns required you to play in a certain period of time to get them actually crafted. And I still see a lot of people posting in my comments about not having these weapons crafted, so don't worry, I've got two great alternatives to use for these weapons. One amazing SMG that has come out this season is the Perfect Pitch. Now this is this seasonal's ritual weapon, so it is extremely easy to get. All you have to do is reset one of the seasonal vendors, whether that be Vanguard, Crucible, or Gambit. This is usually extremely easy to do. I've done this already this season, especially this week with double GM loot, and also XP, it's very fast to level up. Now ever since I saw this gun actually up for grabs, I have been dreaming about getting it. It looks extremely useful and very fun to use. In the first perk column, I would definitely be running Subsistence. However, in the second column, we have the choice of either Incandescent or Onslaught. Both of these perks are amazing. Incandescent would definitely be very useful for clearing out ads. However, Onslaught just increases this weapon's DPS by a lot. It doesn't matter what you use, whether it's Onslaught or Incandescent, this weapon is amazing and I definitely recommend you give it a try if you don't have something like the Callus Mini Tool crafted. Now the other SMG that I recommend you try and get is the Unforgiven. Now this weapon is dropped from Duality, one of the easiest dungeons in the game to farm out when it's on rotation. This is a Void SMG, so it works very similarly to the Recluse. There is an amazing perk pool on this gun depending on how you like to play. You can use something like Demolitionist, you can pair it with Feeding Frenzy, you can use Frenzy, Golden Tricorn, Repulsor Brace, Dragonfly, whatever perk roll you want on this gun, it pretty much has it. Overall, this is just a great Void SMG and I find myself using this from time to time. Coming up next, we have a heavy weapon in the Grenade Launcher slot. One of the best and meta grenade launchers in the game right now is the Edge Transit. Now, unfortunately, if you didn't play Into the Light or you missed out on a God Roll Edge Transit, don't worry, there are two other grenade launchers that you can get right now that are still very decent. They won't perform the same as Edge Transit, but they'll get pretty close. First of all, we have the Wendigo. This used to be the best grenade launcher in the game, and it is extremely easy to obtain. All you have to do is get some Vanguard Ingrams, go and talk to Zavala and just buy one. There is plenty of god rolls out there of this gun, and it will perform just as well as a decent edge transit. In my opinion, the best roll for the Wendigo is Clown Cartridge and Explosive Light. Unfortunately, I am still chasing this god roll, I still haven't got it, but that is what you should be aiming for. However, if you don't like either of these perks, that is all good. There are still plenty of other perks on this gun that you can go for. Auto-loading holster and Cascade Point is another great combination that I would definitely recommend, but if you want to get a damage boosting perk, you're going to need to get Explosive Light. Either way, this is still a very solid grenade launcher to replace if you don't have something like an Edge Transit. Now, another great option to use is the Marsilian C grenade launcher, which is completely random well drop. One roll that I've had in my vault for the longest of time is a Cascade Point and Envious Assassin roll. Now don't get me wrong, this is still a very decent grenade launcher roll, and it will work very well for boss DPS. You can also go for an Envious Assassin Explosive Light, which is honestly very good. With Bait and Switch being nerfed down to 30%, Explosive Light is 25% damage boost, so you're only really missing out here on about 5% damage boost. Overall, it's not that bad. It's still a decent grenade launcher to use if you don't have an Edge Transit. Jumping over into the rocket launcher category, obviously one of the best rocket launchers in the game right now is the Apex Predator. This weapon can be quite hard to obtain considering it comes from the Last Wish raid. So if you don't like raiding or you just don't have one crafted for some reason, it's all good, I got some great alternatives for you. Starting the list off with the Hotthead. This is very similar to the Wendigo, just get some Vanguard engrams and go and buy one. One of the best rolls for this gun is auto-loading holster and Explosive Light. This is overall still a great rocket launcher. Its adaptive frame very similar to the Apex Predator, so both rockets will do very similar damage. This is also a very easy roll to use, as it doesn't require you to, proc bait and switch. Explosive Light is just going to be there after you pick up an orb of power. The Hotthead is my first pick of weapons to go for. However, if you don't have this or you don't want to use it, the Palmyra B is also another decent option. Now, I will warn you, this is a precision frame rocket launcher, so this means automatically it does 5 to 10% less damage versus an adaptive frame rocket launcher. So just by using this gun, it is a damage loss. However, it is extremely easy to use and it is craftable, and you probably already have it crafted. This is the same as the Hotthead, just look for an auto-loading holster and Explosive Light roll or craft it with it. And finally, the last recommendation is the Crux Termination. Now, don't really want to recommend this one as it is a random well-dropped gun and it can be quite rare to get the exact perk combination you need. However, if you do get the God Roll Crux Termination, I would definitely keep it and definitely use it, as it can still be one of the best rocket launchers in the entire game. There's plenty of God Rolls to go for. You can go for Clown Cartridge Explosive Light, Envious Assassin Explosive Light, Reconstruction Explosive Light, Reconstruction Surrounded. There is plenty of perks on this gun that you can use, and that can be very useful. One of the highest DPS perks in the game is Slide Shot, and it can roll on this gun. However, I wouldn't recommend using Slide Shot on a rocket launcher. You're probably going to blow yourself up. Starting to wrap the list up here, another great hand cannon in the game right now that every person is using is the Midnight Coup. This is amazing for prismatic as it is kinetic and it builds lots of prismatic energy. With an amazing perk pool on it, this makes this gun amazing, and I'm so glad I got my God Roll. However, if you didn't play Into the Light and you missed out on this gun, I have an alternative for you. The Fatebringer, still one of the most staple and best guns in the entire game, and also extremely easy to obtain. Before the Midnight Coup came in and took over as the best hand cannon in the game for kinetic, the Fatebringer was definitely in that slot, and the Fatebringer is still very decent. One of the best rolls on the Fatebringer that you can get is Explosive Payload and Firefly, making it an absolute workhorse. Now, if you can do the Master Vogue raid and get the Timeless version, you will automatically get this God roll. However, with Vogue being extremely easy to do, you can definitely get this gun very easily. However, if you can't do raids, I have another suggestion for you, and that is the Warden's Law. Now, just like the Hotthead, you can also buy this one from Zavala in the tower. Just bring some Vanguard engrams and you can focus plenty of Warden's Laws. Depending on the playstyle you like to use, there is plenty of God rolls out there and different perk combinations. This weapon is also kinetic, so it's going to help you in building that Transcendence bar. And finally, I just have two weapons here to wrap the list up that I definitely recommend every Guardian tries and gets. These are just two great and very easy to obtain weapons. The first one is the Heliocentric. This is a well-dropped weapon, and you can also farm it in lost sectors when it's on rotation. This is an amazing sidearm to use in both PvE and PvP. One of the God rolls that I have is Incandescent and Heal Clip, making this an amazing PvE weapon. I find myself using it all the time. Another great weapon is the Darkest Before Pulse Rifle from the dungeon Prophecy. This one can also roll with Heal Clip and Incandescent, making it a great workhorse for PvE content. But anyway, Guardians, that will wrap the video up there. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, feel free to drop a like, subscribe, comment down below, and all that other good stuff. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite alternate non-meta weapon is. But again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.